everyone, and welcome to Talk Together. Thank you for joining us for an evening of talking about Dungeons and Dragons. I am Rebecca Hare. I will be your host tonight, and I am chatting to Thomas Jancis, who you can see right here. So, first things first, Tom, who are you? What are you doing here?
What are you about? Yes. So, if you watch the channel, you probably have seen me on the other side of this screen. I am, again, part of the Roll Together team. I'm also a writer and performer, mostly working in immersive theatre. Yeah, that's me. And
Great.
all-round loveliness.
I confirm that is correct. Great. Well, we will be going through some questions and some anecdotes. And as always, the questions I ask will depend on my very shiny deck. So some admin before we kick off. The stream will run for about an hour. And, exciting admin. We are delighted, as always, to be sponsored by Hero Forge, Ultra Pro and Elderwood Academy, and supported by D&D Beyond, Warriors of Waterdeep, and Level Up Dice. You can find us as Roll Together, Roll Together RPG on all social media, just all of it. And as always, a huge thank you to our beautiful D20 Club, our dice heads on Patreon. Do join them if you want to. They're just the nicest people. Our shows are available as podcasts as well. Just search Roll Together RPG on pretty much any podcasting app, and we should be there. Right.
Again, the nod for having been on the other side of that one, and we're like, yep, very smooth, very well done.
Why, thank you. There was only one. Blah. Hey, Tom. Shall we roll the die?
Oh, let's. Go on, chat.
I don't know how you do this. I don't have the aplomb to do the chanting that David instigated. I'm just not cool enough.
We just do quietly, like, roll that dice.
Roll that dice.
Roll that dice.
Right, and with fairly standard Rebecca rolls, that was an 18.
Hey.
We're in for a night of 20s, obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
So my luck is shaking a bit at the moment. It's quite upsetting.
You've angered the dice gods. Yeah. No, you're fine. The dice gods love you. You're fine. Oh, God, no, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's nearly Christmas, Tom. Why would you say these things?
You just say it again, like in the new year. You're like, it was Christmas. You just, why?
I was going to have a lovely Christmas, children, and then this man told me that the dice gods...
How was it? Yeah, I ruined Christmas.
Anyway, Tom,
yes,
an 18. An 18 means that I ask you, who is the best villain you've ever faced in a game?
Ooh. This is, again, where I like the Rolodex in my head. And it's like, okay, what characters have we faced? Yeah, as I mentioned previously, one of the big pre-roll together things I did was Strahd. And that was, again, our DM was very a sort of chill vampire that I turned up because I was playing a rogue. And he sort of invited us in and he was like, well, you can have dinner. And we were like, oh, we don't trust him. He's like, look, rules of hospitality, I promise I'm not doing anything. And then I was like, so... And then turned to me and was like, would you like to make a lot of gold? And I was like, I quite would like to make a lot of gold, actually. And then he was like, yeah, he just basically went round and was like, right, I could give you gold, I can give you this. But even in character, I was like, I wanted you to give me a bit more, just gold. Give me like a kingdom. But again, that same feeling of just going, I've got a feeling that if I join Strahd, I'm not going to be able to play anymore. Or, and again, that was... The RDM just got to the point where he was like, no, because, slight spoilers for Barovia. The idea is you never defeat Strahd. It's always, and he was like, no, I don't know about that. I'm going to make it really complicated. So we had to defeat Strahd over like 3 different timelines. So it was like, we had to beat him down like in the catacombs. And then like the DM had brought in a sort of thing about like, because reincarnation, about like Barovia, your soul doesn't go on. You kind of get stuck and be soulless. He's like, right, you go back in time to when Strahd stalked, the terrible thing. And we sort of had to rush in and just go, right, we're going to save you. Oh no, she's going to jump off the tower, right? Save her. And then, because like the reincarnated version of his brother was with the party. And we just were like, it's up to you. So we just brought, the party just stood as they just had this really intense moment and just staked him. And then the DM was like, yeah, you've probably done what no one else in many multiverses have done. You defeated Strahd von Zarovich. And we were just like, oh, right.
Amazing.
Okay. Yeah. And then he was just like, by the way, there's a lich, because there's a lich in Barovia. He's got a tomb. Some would call it the Tomb of Horrors. And we're like, right. Let's go. But again, with that, because that's the thing, that lich has had his memories wiped, and we were like, well, we do have Greater Restoration, and he's like, I'm not gonna railroad you. Please do not revive the lich. We were like, oh, but he looks so sad. Because the funny thing was, because obviously his memories are bad, is that he'd get angry with us, and we were like, okay, go out, shut the door, walk back in again, and then he'd be like, oh, hello. And we're like, hi. And he's like, I vaguely remember someone rude, and I'm like, yeah, they're dead. And he's like, cool. Would you like to see my books? And we're like, yeah, we would.
That's incredible.
It was such a chaotic campaign, but again, just I think that was the credit to my DM Alec, where he was just, again, he did a really good job of just going, these are the things that I don't think work. But that same sort of thing where, Strahd was just sort of like, just trying to do my job, really. I'm doing it. I've got a whole kingdom to run. There's hags out in the swamps. I'm just trying to get. And then
adventurers to keep turning up.
Yeah,
trying to kill me.
Well, that was the thing. Like in our first session, we nearly died because we decided to walk hand in hand into the mist.
No!
We were just like,
I haven't played Strahd, and even I know not to do that one.
Yeah. And for the fact we decided, we're like, well, we don't want to get lost, so if we hold hands, we'll be safe together. And it was just, yeah, it was. And again, sort of like thinking about streaming, that sort of like Flustered in the Feywild, the number of the hags again. We seem to love hags on this. Hags are
great.
Yeah.
God, I love a hag.
Yeah. Hey, people working on the wiki, can you make a list about hags all the time? That hags are, because it's almost like we're trying to like not fix them, but we're like, hey, like for me, like I'm playing Amaryllis, where it's just like, hey, sometimes hags can be fun and lovely. Just I think again, I'm just sort of thinking about. Yeah, sort of like Escape from Carceri, where
I was about to ask about Carceri, because Odin wasn't the villain,
no,
but was an arse.
Really, just terrible. And I said, like, the fact that my solution was like, maybe we could just kill him, I found the clip of Niall just taking off his glasses and going, "Fuck you!" Just the idea of just going, but that. I mean, again, for you, doing Niall's campaign, where I'm just like, oh God, I know Odin's up to something in the background. He mentioned the army. What's happening? I am
scared that Odin is going to suddenly rock up in episode 12 in the spring.
Just turn up and you're just like, well done. You brought me an army. Thank you.
Still, if anyone can either irritate Odin to death or to niceness, it would be Veracity.
Yes.
So maybe.
I have full faith in Veracity. Just being like, that's not nice. He's like, oh, okay. Excuse me. No.
Could you not do that, or I'll set fire to your face? Be great.
I just got this face back. I know.
It's a very nice face. And I will set fire.
He's like, oh, compliments.
You just clip this and send this to Niall, and then he's got his finale sorted.
Just to slot it in at any point. Where it's like, that's villains. That's villains.
Great. Shall we ask another question?
Oh, let's.
Oh, all right then.
Oh, if we must.
Oh, well, that was a 1.
Oh, no.
That was a nat 1. I told you, my luck is shaky. Don't say it. What, Tom, is your most epic character moment?
Oh, heavens.
Suppose you can have more than one if you
I've got again, sort of like from the stream, the fact that I realized that with Ilix's ring, where I was like, I have got the perfect solution to resolve this issue. which, of course, no, the one thing now is just like, yeah, he's not going to accept that. But, just the idea of smuggling in accidentally and going, well, this would actually resolve most of our issues. And again, I think just sort of like mentally, I started to go, okay, so then when they would be like, hey, if you take an Odin, we're like, no, not technically, Again, sort of going back to the Strahd campaign, I managed to get the killing blow on him first time. Again, with sneak attack at a distance. So just sort of popped over, short bow, ducked down, and it was like, yeah, by the time you get up, everyone's standing around looking at the body of this vampire.
Wow.
and your friends there going, we need to move, we need to make a time portal. I'm like, okay. Now, that was also the campaign where I said, like, a character jumps off a tower, and the solution was, by another character, to basically harpoon her into the side of the tower. And it was like, she doesn't need to die. We just need to pin her to the tower. And then just go, is it resolved? It's like, yeah, but she has a bad leg for the rest of her life. It's like, doesn't matter. We saved her life. We're heroes. It was like, I said, it was chaotic. Again, Kalseri, most of these weirdly turns into, and then I killed something. I
think that says more, as Niall would say, that says more about you.
Yes.
Than it does about me.
The fact I blinded a dragon, killed a dragon with a crossbow. Just sort of, that's the fun about like being an inquisitive rogue, where it's just like, I can see that will hurt it. It's like, yeah, you shot it in the eye. What are you expecting? Especially for Ilex having real lack of faith in his abilities at the moment. I was like, cool. But then also probably going, am I a killer? I think I'm a killer. Oh no. Oh dear.
If you kill something, you are a killer. That's how it works.
Yeah. Just, for him having dedicated most of his life to, like, I'm going to hunt down killers and make sure they come to justice. And I was like, oh, it was a dragon elf thing. Whatever gets me to sleep at night, which of course he doesn't sleep.
That Ilex is going to come back as a villain in another campaign.
Definitely. I think that, again, the Count was like, I can tell you how to get revenge, because, like, looking at his backstory, it was very much that he accused a mage of murder, and then they just went, no, mages don't kill. And he's like, no, I've got definitive proof. And he was like, no, he's very rich, Ilex. Shut up. He wouldn't shut up. So they accused someone else of the murder. And then the mage was like, well, you've embarrassed me, and just cast fire and just clapped it on Eric's arm, burnt him. And then they went, see, this is what happens when you're a little gobshite. And then he was like, oh God. And then like his mentor was like, yeah, a lot of the people you have accused haven't gone to jail because they're rich. And Alex just was like, oh no, oh dear. Yeah, so basically I wrote Niall a little story, and he was like, that's really depressing. I was like, yeah, that's the energy I'm bringing into this. But yes, I think I mentioned to Niall, I was like, if he comes back, Elix has probably been accused of murder. He's tried to sort things out and has done, but it's that thing where the detective is under arrest, and it was just like, so Ted thinks I'm a murderer, and they're like, well, you are smart enough to do it. I was like, compliments. Not saying I didn't do it, or maybe that's the thing where he's like, maybe he's defending someone else, and he's like, yeah, no, I'm a killer. You remember where I killed a dragon? And I'm like, no, because you're not allowed to talk about that, Alex.
Pop it.
Oh, yeah, pop it. Yeah. Oh, he's a sweet, sleepy boy. Again, looking at the wiki, it's just like, oh, he can't eat food that he hasn't prepared. There's a lot of psychosis going on with our boy.
Combined with Varvaria's mug, it was a party of precise needs.
Yeah, I think that church, that was quite a strong energy.
It was beautiful.
Yeah. But sort of like, I'm trying to think sort of, again, sort of other sort of epic moments, that the fact that, like, Feywild, I liked the fact that the whole do you want a job became a thing, and then we were able to, like, twice we're able to go, hey, maybe we don't fight and perhaps we can work together. And you're like, having said, sort of like, and of course the great tragedy about the episode 11 being missing, where all my boys died except one. That's all my darklings exploded. again, that's a weird thing when we start role playing something. You're like, hi, it would be quite funny if I got really emotionally attached to this. Oh no, they've got like 5 HP. My boys, my beautiful, beautiful boys. Again, like I'm just going through the Rolodex. It's that weird thing. We're like, what did I do that was really cool?
It's much easier to go, oh, and then this other person.
Yeah. I like the bit where you did the jumping. You're like, yeah, the jumping was grand.
Can you tease anything epic that might be coming up in Tuesday's Panto one-shot, Tom?
Oh, very well done. So I play a character called Daisy, the only character called Daisy.
There is no other character called Daisy. Because why would you have 2 characters in campaign?
That would be so. That would be so confusing.
Completely daft. No one would do it.
No. Actually, a lot of the planning for this Panto was like, that would be really confusing. We're like, goes in. Again, sort of, I made a character choice that I was going to play a pantomime cow, which doesn't normally talk, and then very quickly decided I was going to just be a not very good actor in it, and just had a lot of comments. So it's basically, if you want to have I wouldn't suggest alcohol. If you want to make a drinking game of every time I just say moo.
Don't do alcohol. You'll die. Yeah.
But again, sort of like into it, I just sort of like, I kind of was like trying to go for like a Matt Berry kind of like, I'm better than this, you know. I think at one point I was like, I went to RADA. I went to Fantasy RADA. Now I'm a centaur playing a cow. You know?
I've been on stage at the RSC.
Don't you? Again, as a cow, but yeah. Again, for those watching, it's I think it's one of the most fun I've had, where it was just manic. And again, it's DM'd by Sean. And again, sort of like having worked with him, I hadn't quite worked out how deep the anagrams and the puns went. Just, again, watching Lonely House and the fact that just coming out and going, well, you didn't pick up on this meant red herring. We're like, Sean.
That's a point for the audience. If you're watching on Tuesday, have a pen and paper and keep an eye out for some anagrams.
Yes. Yeah. It's just... And again, so like I went into it going, oh, this is like, you know, in the pantomime where you're like, oh, we're going to have a game for the kids. And it was like, no, this is like in depth. This is like the heart of this. And I think it works usually like in D&D, you're like, oh yeah, it's a riddle. It's like wind or something. It's like, no, you actually like, oh God, what? Red hair, what? No, that couldn't be right. No, but yeah, I think obviously we retread the pantomime boards together in this one shot. It's
definitely not with characters with the same names.
Absolutely not. How ridiculous. Yeah, it was, again, that's sort of like, again, it's sort of like epic moments. It was like, I think a bit like in Flustered, where I was like, I've just become violent, and I seem to be one of the only characters who's like again in Flustered, where I was like, I'm going to fight the cat, and I'm just like, please don't kill the cat. And I was like, Pip just likes hitting things, but okay, I won't. But yes, my Daisy does a few kicks, you know, and there's some dancing.
Some really good dancing.
I also, without spoilers, I decided to give myself a new role halfway through the show where I get to talk to the audience. So that's quite fun.
That is officially my favourite part. We should probably stop before we actually just spoil the whole thing. But tune in on Tuesday. It's the silliest 3 hours of D&D I've certainly ever played.
I'm looking forward to the response. And again, watching it back. Again, that's always the wonderful thing about watching this stuff back, because again, you're so focused on this little camera, and then you're like, wow, there's some real facial expressions going on at that moment. Yeah.
I'm just excited to see how much glitter I actually had on my face, because it feels like it was a bucket. So we're going to find out.
Did you add more at one point? It's just like more.
Yeah, of course. You've got to keep adding it throughout. It's a panto.
Yeah. And again, it is that beautiful thing of like us sort of turning our cameras on and going, right, what are we all wearing?
I was really nervous and I'd overdone it. And then I sat down and saw Nat and was like, this is fun.
Again, sort of highlights, I think, the weird relationship I had with Nat. But again, no spoilers. But just at one point where I was like, oh, I've made a bad choice. I've ruined the campaign. And just like, quick, everyone clap. You believe in fairies.
This is a panto with a sad ending, children.
Yeah.
When you're a grown-up, you realise that life isn't all.
I did, yeah. Where it's just like, I don't know why I'm thinking of like the Gondoliers or the Gilbert and Sullivan, where just
Never think of the Gondoliers. Why would you think of the Gondoliers?
I don't know, but that was the thing. Like at the end, where because there's like a clown character who's like, "But I love you," and they're like, "Well, that's difficult," and he has a heart attack. So everyone's singing this lovely song, and Jack just has a heart attack and dies, and everyone's still singing the song, and I'm like, this is probably one of the most tragic things I saw it when I was a child. And just, I think that's the level that you try and get at. You're like, everything's happy. I'm going to die now. And they're like, yay. Everyone, let's sing a song. And I'm like, nope, going down. Goodbye.
So what we're not telling you all is that on Tuesday it is a TPK.
Yes,
we're luring you with panto, and then it's incredibly traumatic. It's not. It's lovely. It's fun. There's glitter and sausages and singing, and nobody dies that you don't want to.
No, I don't think anyone dies. I think it's...
Quick, let's roll in the dice.
Let's move out before we ruin everything. We've got so many secrets.
So many secrets. Ooh, this is a 7.
Ooh.
Is there a moment in a TTRPG that impacted your life out of game?
Oh, gosh. I mean, that's the problem. I keep, again, things just sort of going over in my head and then just going, okay, I made that decision. And again, it's sort of a lot of, again, sort of like when you're doing things sort of like weekly, you're like, okay, how am I going to get out of this one? It's sort of like sitting on the tube going, okay, I think I've got a plan for this. And of course, it never happens because that's the nature of it. And I think there's the infamous missing episode of Flustered in Feywild. So we'd come out of, I think it was Neiman's tiny hut. We'd had a rest. And the moment we walked out, the villain attacked. I think I had about 6 Darklings, 5 of them just exploded, blinding us. And that's also where Pip was like, I'm not getting out of this, took the nutmeg necklace out, went running in and just pushed into Ogden's hand as a weird sort of proposal. We never quite, because nutmeg's the most important thing in his life, but that sort of, just coming out of it, just that thing of just sitting there going, I lost my boys. And like I was saying, like when you're joking and you're like, oh, I'm going to have a real emotional attachment to these squishy NPCs. And then Em's like, well, they've never had fun before. And I was like, oh, God. Oh, no.
It's so good at just knowing when to just twist the knife.
Yeah, just that sort of... I mean, full love to Em. Like, I was talking about something else I'm working on, and Em's like, are you just going to keep adding? Because, like, with Pip, I just kept adding to the world. I was like, yeah. And I was like, you're probably going to say your character can't swim next. So I was like, oh, absolutely not. The character's not allowed to swim. It's one of those weird kind of rules. But, just that. It is that. And I think this has been the thing about, like, doing this all online is a lot of us have said there isn't that, oh, we can go to the pub, we can like dissect, the camera goes off and you're just sitting there by yourself just going, wow.
I did a thing.
Are you impressed by the internet? I did a huge, again, I know this sounds like a weird sort of roundabout answer, but a lot of this stuff, you sit and you stew and, sort of, we have a habit of recording quite late, and then you're like, it's bedtime now. You're just there in your bed just going, well, that was scary. And it was similar, like going, well, that character was horrible. I hope that player's okay. I mean, I think I have a habit of taking this. I'm not good at just leaving it at the table, if you know what I mean. I'm just sitting there going, yes, what kind of solution can I get?
I'm so bad at just leaving it. I was talking to the wonderful and beautiful Nat Winters the other day, and she gave the excellent advice of, Rebecca, you need to remember that if a character is ever cross with your character, they're cross with your character, not with you. And I'm like, I know this.
Yeah.
But it's so hard to just leave at a table.
It is. It's just that, it is that terrible thing of just going, I'm sorry. And without having to send a text going, are you mad at me?
I've sent so many of these. I think you're brilliant.
Yeah.
And just my character was annoyed at your character, and I know you're fine with this, but also please just heap reassurance on me.
And I'm also like, again, like when I was interviewing Em and just saying that weird thing of like when PC characters start fighting and then you just get the anxiety of going, no, we're supposed to be working together as a team. Stop yelling at each other.
The Reaping of Golden Fields I'm doing at the moment is a horror campaign, and we aren't really a party. We're a group of 5 who sort of ended up together in a fighting AUKUS, because why would you not? And it's amazing, and it's so much fun, and all the people are brilliant, so it's fine. But it is also that, like, I know we're all pretending that it's the end of the world and that we don't really like each other, but we're pretending it really well.
I think there's that beautiful moment in the first episode with P where it's like, look, if you're just going to keep bringing up the time you saved the world, just... And I was just sitting there, I was like, again, looking at like the role together, I was like, how many times have our various characters saved the world in some way? It's like, well, it never happened. So... but again, I love it as a series. You and Evie just that sort of like, I guess we can go into the maze.
Evie is just a genius of a player. So basically, she just does something, and all you have to do is yes and it, and it's going to be good.
But just like, again, for you being so unwilling to be like, oh, please don't call the children ugly. Just they are, but just like, what? Again, the constant feeling of like, I don't want to do this.
Well, you know that thing of your characters are always. You know, like Ed was saying, for some reason his characters are always orphans. I realised my characters are always enthusiastic. Yeah. Whether it's with glee or with like murderous desire, but I was like, what will it be like if I play a character that is not enthusiastic? It's really difficult, but really fun.
Again, we're sort of like holding that sort of like stained glass in front of yourself and casting the shadow. You're like, well, and I think that's nice. I mean, you're like, what's your thing? I'm enthusiastic. You've got that sort of essence. And you're like, I just pour that into the character.
I just really want to be here.
Yeah, I'm just having the thing they can never take away from me is I've just had a lovely day.
I'm just having a very nice time, children.
Yeah. Oh, AUKUS, yeah.
Oh, well, we play with such nice people. Everyone would have to work really, really hard for it not to be a lovely time.
I'm just thinking of that as a stream, just going, yeah, that's just that really horrible one shot where, I played like an evil sort of one shot, and my character got knocked out, and then one of the other players was like, okay, I just cast like magic missile 3 times, and then I'm like, well, I'm dead. And he was like, well, it's evil. And I was like, we were doing this during lockdown. This is supposed to be us sort of like as a fun sort of cheer him up. And he was like, well, that's what my character had done. I was like, oh, why did you say that?
Yep.
Yeah.
I have a friend who had played a campaign for like 2 years, and then they obviously couldn't continue during lockdown. And so as soon as it was allowed, they got together as level 20 characters for what they thought was like a special one shot of a reunion, and let's just have a lovely time as level 20. TPK. The DM was like, I just thought it'd be really cool for you to understand, like for you to get to experience TPK. Now that we're done with the campaign, it was just a one shot. Again, really valid point of view, but the players were like, no. I
haven't been with this character for 2 years. Why? Like, again, sort of, as I said, like the follow-up we did to Strahd, where we did the Tomb of Horrors, and we just went in and went, okay, are we all understanding what this is? Because we will... Nobody did die, because I think we just got into that thing of just going, like someone was like, oh, come help us. We're like, nope. Again, that's sort of like, we were such like a morally conflicted group. Like we said, we're like, we'll save you by pinning you to a tower, where they're just like... And that same sort of thing about going, oh, why don't you just put your hand in this hole? We're like, no. There's treasure. No. I think that's the idea of like an evil campaign where you're just like, I think you need to be fair, to go back to the one shot that's coming up, he needs to be like Ed's character. He's like, I'm evil, but I'm doing my best. Ed, just again, I'm talking about like watching the video, just watching Ed's constant like, I am really trying.
Ed's rictus grin like gave me second-hand muscle pain. Yeah. I can't wait to watch it. Watch the panto on Tuesday, everyone. It's going to be wonderful. And
again, the preparation where Sean's like, think about doing this. And we're like, yep, sure. You happy to sing?
We should specify, shouldn't we? When we say panto, it is panto themed D&D.
Yes.
There is still a lot of D&D in it. You are just going to watch us lip sync to bad pop music.
But just imagine if we're now like, okay, so that's the script. Everything that happens is what needs to happen. So now we need to turn up. I do just turn up dressed as a cow and like, hello guys. like all those, I do, every year, a friend of mine does a mummers play, which is sort of,
cool.
So, yeah. But the whole fun of it is like we only rehearse once, and that's like just before the show. So the hope is that we remember. But that same sort of, on the whole, everything's gone fine. And, just with that idea of just turning up and just going, okay, you've got to do the script of the pantomime. Even like the weird side effect, yep. But you're not allowed to have the script. You've got to remember like the weird little side comments we have, and then, right, this needs to happen. And just...
Yeah, so someone typed up and handed us the script of what we ended up doing on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd ever want to look at a script ever again.
But I love the idea of it being like the first live show we do, where we're also like, okay, we've had this really like intense, but also these guys are going to do a pantomime now. It's like the same thing that I keep having that, for people who go to the Globe, they always seem to end with a jig. And I just like the idea of just ending a campaign and going, and now we're going to do our dance. It was a TBK, everyone's dancing.
I mean, because they do, don't they, at the Globe? They do a jig even at the end of Macbeth and Lear, which is kind of great. But yeah, TPK and then a jig. We'll have to suggest it to the producers, clearly. Shall we have another question?
Let's keep going.
We keep spiraling down the rabbit hole of
this is why I'm so weird as a host, because I'm just enjoying people's company and like, okay, Chris, it's like an hour and a half, but we're just having sorry to the guys.
Over halfway through when we've got to 3 questions. However, here is question number 4.
Yeah.
Hey, Tom.
Hey.
How do you feel about PvP? It was an 8.
As I said, if you kill my character when we're trying to have like a fun lockdown, not great. Again, so much of this stuff just comes down. It's down to consent and it's down to discussion. But I think that's been the interesting thing, like hearing other people answering this question, where they're including disagreements as PvP, which I said is very anxiety inducing. And that's sort of like, you almost need to sort of like lift the mask and go, are we okay? Are we having a fight? Or you need to just be able to come in and just go, my character is not going to like your character. Again, sort of like when I was with Evie playing Amaryllis, Evie just hooked onto, I really don't like you. And I think there was a point where it was like, it's really like the players are all like, oh, she's so sweet. But then all the characters are like, you're just so annoying. And which was great fun to have that in your head of just going, I'm going to try something. And then just having it, no one likes to show off. And me just going, oh God, I'm trying so hard. But I mean, as previously commented, D&D is not really, we're overpowered as players, sort of. It is that, I wonder if it is just a case of like, okay, do you need to get something out of your system? Do you just need to go into I could imagine it being more like, okay, if you guys wanted to do training or something, just fight each other. We've put you in like big padded suits and just sort of, I've got a fireball. You're like, well, that's not fair. I'm wearing foam. Like, well, you're on fire now. So, I think it is very much sort of depending on. Yeah, let's go back to consent. Sort of like, sort of, and then having to have that moment of just going, is this an actual fight, or are you just arguing about treasure? Because then also there's the problem of going, okay, that weird thing of going, well, I have to get on with you because we're playing. But as a character, like I think I mentioned, like doing a home campaign where like they brought in a new player, and I was like, my character has absolutely I'm part of a secret society who doesn't let information out. And then they're like, can I join you in your adventure? And I'm like, no. Oh, well, I know where this is. Problem. Real problem. The church is going to bring it. But then just sort of thing of just going, I'm just going to have to lump it and just go in another, my character's just going to have to go in another room and going, I can't here. What's going to happen here? Because I am going. And then that's the thing. The other player was like, well, I could beat you in a fight. And I was like,
not going to help either. Yeah.
Matteo reaches for a sword and then just goes, sure. It is like in real life where you're like, I've had people go, I think I could beat you up. And I was like, yeah, sure.
Right.
Yeah, just
whatever makes you feel good, mate.
Yeah, whatever you want. And they're just sort of like, oh, would you want? No. Well, I could. Yep, sure. It is that same sort of thing when someone tries to. I think so. Like a friend of mine was like, had someone who was like, well, I think that men are the repressed ones, and they had a struggle, and she just went, cool. I walked off, and she like turned around, and this guy was like, yeah. So, like so much, it depends on how it's handled. Could be good fun. PvP could be really. I said like doing that one shot where I was just sitting there going, I feel really sad now. I had to, and actually because I was back home, and now this is the thing. When I finished something, my mum was like, "Did anyone die this time?" And I was like, it's like no. She asked me again about the pantomime one. I was like, no, it was all fun and lovely. She's like, oh, that's good.
Except for the bloodbath.
Apart from the bloodbath,
yeah.
How are we going to stage that when we're doing the live version? We're going to have to get so much.
I have plans.
It's going to be so glittery, but just
red glitter.
And because we know how glitter gets everywhere, just it's bad enough when you're covered in like this fake blood, but you're covered in glitter, and you're just like, okay, now we're doing the jig.
Legit, there was glitter all over my bathroom for a week. I think it's gone now. Maybe.
It never goes.
No.
You're just going to be fine. You're going to be fine to get to East. It's just.
It's thematic.
You're like, well, I like glitter. I'm just going to keep adding to it. It's not like
really, but it worked for the panto, and I'm committed to my art. I think you say brilliant things about PvP that are kind of condensed into consent, and then separation of church and state. Make sure that the people are really liking each other, even if they're pretending not to. But then the thing you said that I think I haven't heard on here before that I think is really important is, if your character wants to be an asshole, don't make someone else's character have to bend over backwards to make things work. Like, I feel like if I'm playing a character who's quite combative, I don't want then another person to have to be like, well, I don't know why I'd stay, and I don't know why I wouldn't kill you, but I'm going to have to do that work. Yeah. I think it's fair that if you're bringing the conflict, you also have to bring the reason that people stay together. Yeah. Because having a moment of like, but I hate you, because you're being horrible to me constantly. But also if I'm like, well, I guess I leave then. They go, oh, why are you leaving? We're a party. We have to stay together. Don't split the party. It's like, oh. Yeah, be a team player.
Yeah. Like you said with Golden Fields, we're just like, I'm not sure. It's not a found family thing.
No.
And like Lonely House, where I can't remember who it was, but it's like friends. And then just like, great. I think Lottie was like, are we friends? I don't say it out loud. I was like, I do. We just got born into a scary house. We're not friends.
And we bang on about this all the time. It's why Session Zero is really important, especially with a horror campaign, but all the time. So I know, and I'm sure it's the same in Lonely House, for Reaping a Golden Fields, we all know everybody's lines. Ava has the potential to skew a bit evil, but I know for sure where she's not going to go, because that would make another player unhappy. But I know I can go to places that will make characters unhappy as long as the players are fine. And they're the things you can thrash out in a Session Zero that are awesome. Yeah.
And again, sort of like, it's so useful. And then just like kind of like actually sort of slightly about the Carceri, where Niall was just like, well, we know Odin, like in mythology, is hung from the world tree. And then
I'm glad you finished that sentence.
We just know that he's hung from the world tree.
Thank you, Tom.
And then we were just, and that kind of thing of just going, and we were like, we don't really want, because I don't quite know what he was playing, but I think we were, because we were living as Odin. I was like, are one of us going to see what it's like to be dangling? And we were just like, we don't really want that. And he was like, it's fine, it's gone. And you're like, yeah, it's simple as that. Like, again, so we're talking. I've been talking to Chris a little bit about it. It's like the safety rules and the sort of like what do we put in? Like again, talking about other things we've done, like busy bees, where we're like, do we have to put a warning for beans? Because we talk a lot about beans, and it is that sort of feeling of going, well, you don't know what's an issue until it happens. Sort of. But yes, by that idea, just going, well, for Carceri, the hanging has probably happened, but we don't need to see it. And no one's going to come in and go, wait a moment, where's this bit?
Yeah.
Someone's like, I don't like spiders. You're like, cool, this is just an adventure that spiders don't happen.
Oh, look, it's scorpions.
Yeah. Just... you notice an absence of scorpions. You're just like, I haven't seen scorpions in a while. I was like, yeah, because he doesn't like scorpions. You're like, got you. But yeah, just again, going back to busy bees and just like going, has there been too much about beans? Do we need to warm? Maybe people have got a thing about beans.
I didn't have before I started playing, and if anything, it gave me a thing.
It's the idea of how memes work, with it being an idea that spreads it. It's just, you look at the baked beans and you just hear Sam going, beans! How nice to meet you. Would you like some beans?
I managed to put his voice out of my head. Thank you.
It's very nice. I think that was the first time I probably had met Sam. And
First time I'd met Sam, but there was one heck of an introduction.
But so much like with characters, you're like, okay, what voice have you chosen? You open your mouth and there comes out. You're like, oh no. But also, again, like what just said with the PvP, I was like, I kind of don't want to let him out of the cage now. I've been having a lovely quiet time with my good friend Hop, which is enough chaos, and then just like, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Beaverman, you live in that cage now.
Forever.
Yeah, I had pelican, you're fine. Yeah, go on.
I had no idea Majesty was going to be that much of a pompous idiot until I opened my mouth and that came out. Love it.
Again, like I said, like you spend so much time going, okay, I'm going to do this and do that, and you're like, oh no, this is what the character is now. And also the chaos of hats,
hats. Oh, the hats.
Yeah.
I feel like hats are starting to be a theme with you.
Yes, weirdly. Yeah. I just, so hats and that, and also, again, like I realized that sort of a lot of the inquisitive rogues in our worlds wear fancy, because Ilix has got one, Fiora, so, it's almost like you pass this girl and then you go, there's your fancy hat. You're like, there you go.
I'm sorry, by fancy, do you mean stupid hat?
Well, yeah, no, his hat is stupid. The holly green hat is a classic, available for $12.99 from all good Reaver tailors.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Cool. I don't know why he's dressed as a weird little Christmas elf, but that's what one wears when one goes to a dinner party and it's like, I think someone's trying to murder the Lord. Take your hat off.
Well, of course.
Of course. Cool. We'll listen to the weird man in green and red. That's that. He seems like a detective.
Should we roll the dice? Should we do that?
Or we can talk more about. I'm still excited to know what other the hats. Looking on the wiki where there's just the gaps. Like, what other hats could we have got? There's all sorts of
plan more hats.
Yeah. Too. There's also a possibility of a Trask.
Yeah.
Let's keep rolling.
I kind of want to. I'm now thinking of hats. Okay, This is and I really want to know the answer to this. This is a 16. If you could make yourself in D&D, what would you be?
Warlock. I think I've got a feeling I would make a terrible mistake. I think I would be that sort of person who's like, oh, I'm a nice guy. I've got good morals. Well, wouldn't it be good if you had powers though? You're right. If I did have powers, I would be able to fix things. Well, what? Just that sort of thing of just going, okay, here's this crystal. I'm like, cool. Just start moving to what? No, you don't need to put it in your eye. But okay. Just like,
this entity did give me powers. They must be nice. So if they're asking me to do this, I'm sure it's fine.
They keep calling me sweet boy, and I am a sweet boy. I'm the sweetest boy. Why is black veins appearing in my hands?
Why is there all this red glitter?
it just casts about red glitter, and they're like, "Oh, well, that's going to get everywhere." Like, would you rather it was blood?
It is blood now.
It is blood. Your blood is glitter.
Oh, that's the worst curse ever.
I think there was. I remember reading as a child, there was like an Aztec goddess whose blood was snakes. And then the like little drama, like someone like, I think she was like bumps into something and snakes coming out of her nose, and she's like, "I'm sorry, someone have a tissue." But imagine it being like Medusa. You're like, well, you're just going to have to take care of these now. It's just all these little snakes. Yeah.
You've got such a hard deal.
No, I just, like, said like doing one of those sort of the COVID tests where occasionally you might have a nosebleed and the snakes start coming out, and you're like, I did do it. Look, I brought my that's thing, and then you're like, oh well, because I needed to go to the theatre. I was like, I brought my snakes with me. They're very nice. Can they watch? And I'm like, yeah, I suppose so. Do you want to put them in the snake box?
I mean, would you say no to someone who had snakes coming out of her nose? I think I'd be like, whatever you need, just as long as it's over there.
Getting the logic, which is someone who turns up to an event just with snakes. And you're like, well, they need to get their cultural education. They want to see the jig. They hear the jig's very good at the end. So, I mean, the thing is that so much of this is like, yeah, we're commoners. That's the level. But then I got it. I mean, as a warlock, just get to have a nap now and again. Again, just feel like, you should cast a spell. I'm like, yeah, but I'm really tired.
Can I just hit it with an Eldritch Blast and then let the other people deal with it?
Which again would cover, like, if you think in real life, you're like, well, I can Eldritch Blast. That just covers me, really.
And I can just do it at will as often as I like.
Like, I think the first time I did this, where I was talking about what spell you'd like, where it's like, just give me, like, most cantrips would just probably...
Prestidigitation would be the best.
I think the one I said was mending, where just like...
Also again, great.
Like, weirdly, after talk about that, we're like, the arm, like, well, my glasses arms fell off, and I was like, I actually was standing there going, I had mending, or just...
Warlock, though, do you have a specific pact in mind?
I've got a feeling it might be a devil. It's like an archdevil, just like inadvertently. Where it's like, well, they seemed really nice.
Who would make a pact with an archdevil, Tom? No one would do that.
But I mean, that's such a weird,
such an abstract hypothetical thing for you to say right now.
There's like a few years ago, there's a show my friends were doing where it was sort of like on a WhatsApp. So, but then it turns out it's all about sort of, because it's around Halloween time, it's about basically one of the hell devils rising up, and it was like, I want to take over. And it was the demon Stolas, who I suggest looking into, who's a giant owl. You know, you'll see it like it's an owl, long legs, crown. And it was like, this is the devil of shiny jewels. And I feel weirdly, because you know, I was getting WhatsApp like one of the people being affected, and then from Stolas, who was like, I will kill you. And I was like, oh, you're sweet. And we got into this really, like, the creators, like, we got into this really weird relationship, yeah, I'd say relationship, where, you know, and just, I was like, oh gosh, and then because there was a moment where we actually got to meet in person, and it was someone I knew who was like, I've taken the form of your friend. And I was like, hi. I was like, on Halloween night, I will chase you down with my horses. And I was like, cool. I'm going to, because there was a whole thing of like putting a rune on a stone. And I was like, cool, I will drive you back to hell. And just in this pub, and I was like, that's the kind of relationship I probably would have with my patron, where it's like, I will burn you. And I was like, yeah, sure you will. Of course you will. Do you want to go see the new Spider-Man film though? Yes.
I'll have to try this for the finale of Reaping of Golden Fields. I don't know what happens yet. I will have to see if I can just like, or pub.
Look, there's this harvest festival going on. We hear the cider's great. There's kettle corn.
There's maze with real minotaurs. Let's just go. It's like, or I kill everyone, you know. We'll wait and see.
I'm imagining there's a roller coaster and Orcus is like got a balloon and is like, wee. I think you're just... I like the idea of like various, like, just like, I'm trying to think of like other characters who would deal with it, and just like there's so many, like some of your previous skills are like lovely characters who would be like, hey, come on, come on, really? No.
Oh, Veracity would make
Veracity
the best warlock because she would just turn them into really nice now.
Yes.
Obviously.
Yeah, I got a feeling I'd just be like, well, I was being nice, and now I've got these powers, and now I was like, well, I feel a bit lonely. I'll take my patron. I said, my patron will probably want to go see the new Spider-Man film, so we'll go watch that. Just this weird, like, ghostly demon thing, just going, I enjoy this.
I am actually here to see you as an actual warlock. Ilex, no, we'd all die.
Yeah.
All of us.
I'm looking forward to just that sort of the reveal at the end of campaign where Ilex was like, I could fix this. You know, it is like sort of those murder game things where like, no, I was trying to teach you the importance of friendship. And now, okay, some people have died. That's fine. But you understand. You have hope now, and you can work with that. And you're like, Ilex, no.
Look at the bodies.
Look at the bodies.
So many bodies.
And it was like, they can revive. No, they haven't got heads. I didn't ask you to chop off the heads. That wasn't the thing I asked you to do. You did that. That was your fault. That's not my fault.
This is getting worryingly plausible. So, we'll just sidebar. We'll just move away from the pile of bodies. If you, Tom, were a warlock, would you pick a race to go with that?
Oh, I also, again, sort of like,
just as we delicately step over the pile of bodies.
Just stepping over. Maybe it has to be tiefling, and that just sort of like, hi. Just sit down, this sort of like red-skinned yawn, like, hi guys. So some choices were made. It turns out I'm this now. I think it's that. I'm just sort of, or it just I turn into a Goliath, and I was like, it's weird. I'm just huge now. I struggle enough getting through doorways. No, look at me. No, I think I've actually sort of, and actually this is connecting. I am going to be playing a tiefling paladin in the one shot that M's running.
Amazing. I've just built my first tiefling paladin and I love her already. Tell me about yours.
So her name is Zelani. She is a knight. She is the Green Knight because she is green.
Excellent.
She is she's a very good girl. That's the thing. I'm playing into the fact that going, right, she understands that there are laws of chivalry and that is what one must do. That is how this world works. Which is great because like some of the other players are like, oh yeah, I have a family. And Zelani's like, different choices. That's fine. And like today, and like Zelani, no one's stopping you having relationships. So like, pretty sure there's laws. You're like, where's Zelani? Go on, show us on the go back on the ancient manuscripts and sort of look at it and then just go, ah.
Oh, pop it.
Yeah, no, it's
your characters all make me say that. It's the theme.
I just, again, when you're like, you're full of enthusiasm, I've just got this weird sort of sadness to my characters who just like, I'm trying so hard.
Tom, what do all your characters have in common? They make Rebecca say, pop it.
Just get fan art of you just gently touching my characters, just tapping them on the cheeks, go, oh, sweetie, no. Just go up to Pip and go, have a bath. Yeah. No, I think it never really came up, but I was like, I think he's a forest man. He smells. Why does Ogden like him?
Dear.
Yes.
I don't even know what we're talking about anymore. Carry on telling me about your paladin because she sounds wonderful.
Yes, Zelani. So that's I think that's going to be one of our Christmassy one shots. So that's we are recording at the time of recording. We are recording at the end of this week. So
amazing.
But is that we had Sean started a pun off. So we were like, Sir Loin of Steak, the knight who does cooking. Certain Doom, the knight who's probably not coming back. Nice. And then it was sort of like, again, like a few of us were just blah, 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 blah. And then it was like, okay, guys, we need to sort out what items we have. Sir, Dame. And you're just like, please focus. But I think we'll see if it happens. But in World, I like to think there's like a portrait hall with all these former sirs. And it's like, if it was like a point-and-click adventure, you'd go along and you're like, certain doom. You're like, oh, that's fun. The writers just went on a little spree, like one weekend. Like, cool, how many puns?
I assume no one would read this.
No, we'll stick it in there. No, she's... I'm going to think about it. You just go, oh, pop it. No.
Well, I reckon whilst we're being slightly tragic, we have time for one more question if we're slightly quicker.
Okay, fine. We'll focus. I won't tell you about my...
No.
I won't tell you about my weird warlock dating. We're just like, hey.
I mean, or we could just continue about your weird warlock.
Yeah, no, let's see what we can get.
Okay, let's see what we can get. That is, there we go, a natural 20, which is, again, really fitting to end the night on. Whatever time of day it currently is. What is time?
What is time?
Hey, Tom, which character was the hardest to say goodbye to?
Well, now Alex is arrested for basically making a murder game.
Alex just is sore.
Yes. No, I honestly could imagine it, where he's just like, I'm trying to make you better. Did you not realize that basically now you have a will to live? I'm a hero. Alex is just drenched in blood going, I'm a hero. Like all good villains. It's like, I came from such a good place and now it went wrong. It's like, yeah, you put someone in a bear trap. I think with the Roll Together universe, the nice thing is that we all kind of exist on the same. So there's a possibility, like some of these characters, even like from the one shots, I'm like, I don't think they're gone. They're out. Although I feel like when people from one campaign go off and do something else, they're like, how are my characters doing? Are they okay? Or have they gone to a nice quiet pub or something? They're just sitting there.
Yeah.
I think that's the sort of weird thing that I feel optimism. I feel that most of my characters could sort of come back. Like I said, like the Curse of Strahd, Ava, who just basically she got what she wanted. She got some money and then just was able to go off. And it was like one of the other players was a Dragonborn paladin who got bitten by a werewolf and then created a weird thing where it was like, this is where we believe in my dragon god, but we're also werewolves. And Ava was like, do you just need someone to take care of the kids? And so Ava is like got these werewolf dragon pups. I was like, she's fine. She's overcome her evil ways. She's
adorable.
Yeah, just again, I'll pop it. But in a nice way.
I mean, how do you do this every time? Also, Ava is a great character name. I commend you on your choice.
Yeah. Yes. When it started playing, it's that weird sort of thing where I actually kind of goes like Ava. I was like, yep, no, not me.
But Tom, we would never name our characters the same name in a campaign.
That would be extreme. That was just. Also, the funny thing is that in Curse of Strahd, there's a character called Madame Ada with a D, and so we had a thing where they went ask, and I was like, "Are you me from the future?" And she just went, "Maybe." And I was like. And then DM was like, roll it inside. She's just screwing with you. And I was like, but she could be. He's like, yeah, I suppose Barovia's weird. I guess she could. I suppose you changed from half elf into like a literal 90-year-old woman. That could happen. So yeah, I feel again, sort of, I like to think like from the Roll Together stuff, they're all just like Amaryllis is off fighting crime. Alex, as we've established, has become a monster. I think the nice thing is that, like with Pip, we've established that there is probably going to be a sequel. He needs to go deal with his terrible. Now that was the fun with Pip. I was like, okay, Pip's not going to have a sad backstory. That's fine. He's just going to be. It's great. And then I was like, the fun thing is he doesn't realize he has a sad backstory. He's come out into the world and was like, yeah, sometimes people come to the forest and you kill them because they're bad. And I'm like, no, they're not. They're not.
Puppet, no.
Puppet, no. That's probably why Ogden likes him, because Ogden's like, okay, I'll try and help. Just maybe they'll get a bunch of dragon werewolf cubs. Pip's like, I've got a new family. Look at all the cubs. So there's been. I think it's also again like a mentality sort of thing where. Like, there's some characters I've done for one-shots where I've just gone, cool, I tried that out. I don't want to. I don't want to do them again. They're fine. I don't miss them. But also there's a few where I think I said, like, we roll together, where I'm like, there's the possibility that they may come back. Or, as they said, they turn out they're the big bad. Or it just becomes really tragic, where it's like, cool, they're dead and their body's in this temple. And I'm like, okay, guess I'm backstory. Speaking of, we've got something. We've got a secret, don't we? We're talking about
don't have any secrets. We're
not playing the same character. No, we're not playing. We don't have the same name. So vaguely, let's say the idea of sort of the two of us maybe in a temple. Let's talk about that.
We might be filming something for the new year. That's not a campaign.
No.
Yeah, no idea what that.
It's a music video. We're making a song.
Oh no.
Yeah. The two of us just sit back and
we just sing the sausage song. Okay, well, it's not that. It is actually, can you believe it? Cooler than that.
Yeah.
Not that much else is.
Nothing's cooler than the sausage song.
Yeah, we're not allowed to talk much about it, but we can tell you that we are filming something sneaky and awesome. That's the two of us being subtle. Can we do it?
We are the sort of energy where we just come in and go, we've got a secret, but we can't tell you.
I think if you had to pick the two least subtle people in the whole Roll Together roster, you might end up with us.
We're just in the background grinning. You're like, oh, hey. Hi, guys.
Hi. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled in the new year for us trying really hard to be sort of subtle and cool. And not
when it does turn up, you're just like, oh, that.
Yeah. Red
exciting stuff.
Everywhere.
Yeah, I think we should put that in the rider, that if we die, just red glitter just explode.
Red glitter.
Again, it's like, this is how we kind of like censor stuff. You're like, yeah, there's just a lot of glitter. You're like, oh no.
Oh gosh. I think I know. Certainly my mum would prefer blood to glitter, and I'm sure she's not the only one.
Like, if I had a choice, blood I could probably get out of the carpet eventually.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was pretty much word for word my mum's reasoning when we were little.
I have friends who work in burlesque, and they're like, it's the herpes of the burlesque world. It's just, yeah. Which is not a sentence you were expecting to see. Hi, guys. Hi,
guys.
Yeah.
Shall we leave it there before we either give something away we shouldn't or go down a really, really, really weird rabbit hole about glitter herpes? Well, I think that now is all the time we have. So, Tom, do you have anything you want to plug?
Yeah, actually. So if you like sitting, watching things online, and like me being poppity.
No, what are you doing?
Yeah. So on the Friday the 17th, 7 p.m. GMT, I'm doing something with Uncanny Collective. Nat is doing the day before. She's doing a lecture about ghosts. So
they both sound amazing.
Yeah. So it's a festival of like Christmas horror. And I said, like, so other people will be doing like, I'm doing a reading of Edgar Allan Poe. I have 3.5 and a joke worth of I tell a cracker joke at one point. It's Christmas horror. It's all new. Basically 4 friends go to a pub, and by the end of the night, terrible things happen to every single one of them. So mods, hopefully putting the links in. Apart from that, sort of various exciting things happening in the new year in person if you're in London.
What?
I'm doing a sort of it's an immersive augmented reality show about British circus.
Oh boy.
Which, as I said, it again is just my character just going, oh, my dad was so good and I'm not.
Tom, why do you do this to yourself and to us? Why?
My mum does keep going, do you die in this one? And I'm like, I might. I don't know why I curve towards the sorrowful, Apart from that, if you look on my Twitter, We were talking about this earlier. I am currently taking pictures of a Lego Star Wars calendar, which is fun because I do not know what the ships are. And then people were like, well, I think you'll find that this was in the background of The Mandalorian. I'm like, nice. This is a Tusken Raider.
It's Lego.
It's Lego. It's great. It's sort of like, it's that thing, like I also have a chocolate calendar. So I'm like, oh, what a lovely morning. What chocolate and what weird, just like a child sort of sitting on the floor going, well, I've made this little ship. I think I had a video of like, there's a cannon that actually shoots out bits Lego. And then it was like, do not put this in people's eyes.
Amazing. To clarify, you're plugging your horror show, your Vault show in the new year, and your Lego Star Wars Advent calendar.
Yes. Yes, I am. not my documentation of it, but just the concept. Maybe I should just the concept of Lego. It's for all ages. I think it does go up to 99. So once you hit 100, you're not allowed. You're not allowed anymore. You can't have,
No.
Sorry, grandfather, you can't have this calendar.
Oh. But can confirm Tom's Twitter feed is currently just daily Lego joyfulness. It is great.
Yeah.
Check it out. We play D&D. The D&D things we can find Tom doing is this coming Tuesday, doing very silly panto themed D&D. Then is it the Tuesday after a couple? A Tuesday before Christmas. There is
Tuesday. Yeah.
M's beautiful medieval knight themed one shot.
Yep.
And then in the new year, secrets.
Not a music video.
Not a music video. Please don't be a music video. I don't think it's a music video.
We are just looking forward to like, cool, now this puzzle. Sing for me. And you're like, no.
We're going to leave it there.
Just screaming, just
Right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us and whatever this chaos was. And being part of the show. And I hope heckling us on Twitch. That's entirely deserved. If you enjoyed this, then good
for you.
But we also stream Talk Together every Friday night from 6 to 7 p.m. GMT. Other time zones are available. And then we stream D&D games on Mondays and Tuesdays. So this coming Monday, 6 till 9, will be the finale of The Reaping of Golden Fields. And then this coming Tuesday will be The Way the Cookie Crumbles, the panto-themed one-shot DM'd by the beautiful Sean. All of our shows stream at twitch.tv/rolltogetherrpg. And there's a YouTube link in the chat now to catch up on our VOD. And don't forget, you can also find us as a podcast everywhere you can find podcasts. Once again, many thanks to all our D20 Club on Patreon, all of our sponsors and supporters, and I now feel justified by our wiki that I no longer have to actually sign off with "Stay classy at the table."
Please do.
Bye.
Roll that dice.
Roll that dice.
Roll that dice.